Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is John Rutenberg, and as Jen just determined, I'm your MC. So with that, next slide, please. I'm looking around the room and welcome to everybody. Chris, Sam, uh, I saw Vanessa, Cheryl, some of our newer people. Tammy, Demola, I think it's wonderful. The organizers are thrilled that you're making Wednesday morning a special place. And Natalia, is this your first time? I don't think so. Yes, it is. So please introduce yourself.
Oh,
Tell us how you met us.
my friend Ekaterina, she joined the group and she told me, hi everyone. First of all, my friend Ekaterina shared information about this group and recommended me to join it. And last minute, I tried to register it, but I couldn't attend. So she sent me the link, because she registered in advance. That is why I'm here, and I will be happy
Fantastic.
to meet all of you and to receive all this new information. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you and welcome, and kudos to Katrina for making an introduction. It's the most critical and vital role each of us can play. Invite a colleague. Not hard. Invite a colleague. Thank you. When you invite colleagues, the blue vertical bar graph goes up. So that's a phenomenal outcome. Please, everyone, take a minute and put your phone on the QR code and register if you could. It's really helpful to us. We also update our attendance manually using the Zoom registration records. And what we've learned is only about half of the people in the room actually use the QR code. Just interesting statistic. You don't have to feel guilty if you don't, but boy, do you get demerits when we meet and talk about you. So please click on the QR code and register. Next slide, please. Getting here Wednesday morning means that some people prepared in advance. So here's the group of organizers and brand ambassadors. Each of us is working to fill the room and get presenters. So thank you to the group. I'd also like to highlight Veterans Growing America and Fairfax County EDA. Both are partners. We welcome folks from those groups, and we appreciate that we have a relationship with both groups. So next slide, please. So there are national and local missions that really are congruent. We provide an opportunity to brainstorm. It's educational. Many of us have said, gosh, that was a great meeting. It made me think how I could change my business. So even though we may be listening to a presenter, we're learning actions we can take and gain strength from the fact that there are over 120 chapters meeting Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m., caffeinating over entrepreneurship. Next slide, please. Consistent with that overall mission, we're about presentations and business challenges, not about raising capital. We're about building authentic connections. To the extent we network, it's because we built a relationship, that the trust factor has been established so that you feel comfortable making an introduction to someone who might help someone in the room. I mentioned the organizers and the ambassadors were run for the community by the community, and you're welcome to join us anytime you want. We're extremely and intentionally inclusive. That's really important words, radically and intentionally. We work on that as a group of organizers, and you guys make the difference, making it radical and intentional. Next slide, please. Great. I'll call on Jen and then Amy to introduce our sponsors. Jen?
Thank you, John. So Mason Enterprise Center in Fairfax is our space sponsor. That means the first Wednesday of every month, we actually meet at Mason Enterprise Center, just off of 66. And we have a hybrid meeting. So if you're interested in networking in person as well, you can join us in the first Wednesdays of the month. I'm excited to announce that our quarterly networking meeting is tomorrow. So if you are available from 3 to 5 and you want to come check out the Mason Enterprise Center, have food and drinks, which they are providing, network with business owners from there, as well as 1 Million Cups community, please do so. If you're not able to join, my ask would be just to share, and I'll put a link in chat in a moment, so you can go to our LinkedIn page and share from there. Sharing is caring. Do check out MEC. One of the reasons that they are exceptional, besides Eddie, who is fantastic to collaborate with, is they have dedicated mentors. They also do a ton of work in the GovCon and tech space. They do have offices available, and they are looking for businesses who provide services to other businesses, whether it's marketing, legal, etc. So again, go check out their space. You can be a virtual member or actually have office space if you need it. And with that, I will turn it over to Amy.
Maybe I'll learn to work my microphone one of these meetings. Good morning, 1 Million Cups. I'm Amy Hughes. I own 48 Blocks Fine Candy, which is handcrafting unique sweets in unique flavors, based here in Fairfax County. I have a little preview of something for you today, which I don't normally do. This is, oh Lord, camera's not going to work. I'll make a picture. So we have advent calendars this year for corporate gifting. Limited amount of them, plus I always say we don't do anything with chocolate, but I'm going to make myself a liar. This is our triple chocolate s'mores kit. So we're doing corporate gifting, general retail, as well as special events all through the holiday season. If you're looking for a unique treat for a unique friend or work colleague, I've got things that can help you. We're at 48blocksfinecandy.com. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to John.
Thank you to both sponsors. If you would like to be a coffee sponsor, please let us know. We'd love to have you be a coffee sponsor. You get a minute or two to promote your business for free. So thank you. Okay, this is how our meetings work. One of the most important responsibilities of everyone in the room is when you have an idea, a suggestion, or a question for the presenter, in addition to stating it out loud, please put it in the chat. It makes it easier. For one, we capture what you wanted to say, not what one of us translated, and it reduces the burden on each of the organizers to try and summarize what you're saying. And of course, save the chat before you leave and set up more one-to-ones after the meeting. I think everyone in the room knows how our meetings work. Please keep yourself on mute. After James's presentation, we'll have some Q&A and we'll do some breakout rooms and we'll open it up. And next slide, please. So I'd like to say that you could throw this slide out because everyone in this room understands how to be caring. But every once in a while, someone doesn't. So please, even though James Lawson is tough as nails and there's nothing that could possibly hurt him, you wouldn't want to say, James, you know, your ideas are dumb. That would be a bad thing. And that's the essence of this slide. Next slide, please. Impact Business Solutions. James has impact. I've seen him in meetings. I've seen him comment on presenters. I've learned a lot. And now he's going to lead us in a discussion. And I'm just going to turn it over to him. And I thank James for one, being an organizer, and two, stepping forward today to present. So, ladies and gentlemen, James Lawson.
Thank you, John. Hi, everyone. So, yeah, glad to be here. It's I hadn't really planned for this until Monday, but hey, it's going to be fine. It's all good. We're going to learn some stuff. So, listen, let me just kick in. I'm going to share screen, do the usual. Let's just make sure that everything is working the way it should. So, you guys should have one slide on your screen. Is that right? We're all good?
We're good.
Okay, and you can hear me okay, right? Everyone can hear
Yeah.
me. Good. When I ask a question, it's always good to get the voice back and go, yeah, we can hear you. It's all good. So listen, yeah, we're going to spend a little bit of time walking you through what I think are some really important things about your business. We're not going to go into tactical stuff. We're not going to talk about Facebook and platforms and that kind of thing, because honestly, the stuff I am going to talk about, if you don't get this right, the other stuff really doesn't matter. So I want to kind of make sure we get focused on what we believe to be the most important stuff for you guys to be looking at. So we're going to, well, we will have some breakout sessions if time permits. I'm going to try and get through this. It's going to be really quick. I got a bunch of stuff to go through. Feel free to take screenshots of whatever you feel is important to you, right? It's totally fine. So this is me and Angela, right? We're a husband and wife team. We've been in business since kind of 2009. Our why has changed a couple of times in that time. But really, we're all about making sure that business can get the support and the tools and the guidance that they really need to get without, you know, bursting their bank account. It shouldn't cost you six figures to build a six-figure business. Let's put it that way. And unfortunately, the industry that we are in, there's a lot of promotion, a lot of hype, a lot of drive towards what people call high ticket sales, meaning $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 coaching programs. We've designed a model that allows us to do it substantially less investment than that. And that's kind of what drives us. Like, we want to help as many people as possible while maintaining a lifestyle that we're okay with. And that's how the business has been built. It's why our brand is called Business Success by Design. We designed the business to do the thing we want it to do. Okay. So that's our why. That's where we are. What you need to know about us: sales, marketing for 24 years back in corporate. We generated about $2.4 billion in sales. We kind of know a little bit about sales and marketing. And now we work with small businesses, train them on the art and science of strategic marketing. But strategic marketing isn't the same as marketing. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. And it really is to help them drive and accelerate lead gen, lead conversion, and profitability in the business. That's it. Really simple. Oh, and we've worked for like 5,000 businesses in 9 different countries. So that's been kind of fun as well. So here's a big idea. We're going to look at 3 things in the next kind of 20 minutes or 18 minutes, whatever much time I got left. I'm going to talk a little bit about a strategy for driving end of year revenue. It's a little bit of an advanced strategy, and a lot of you are going to go, screw that, I ain't doing that. And I'm going to tell you that if you just buckle down and do it, it works, right? And I'll show you the kind of results that we got from it. I'm going to walk you through what we call the profit formula framework. This isn't ours. It's just something that's out there. It's been out there for a while. I think you guys as businesses should really embrace it and start to use it for your own business. So I'm going to walk you through how that works and how you can see that if you just focus on a couple of things in your business, you can make dramatic impacts on your profit and your revenue. And then I'm going to look at 3 key strategies for lead generation and conversion, right? Just to give you a couple of ideas about things that you really need to focus on if you really want to see these numbers kind of climb over time in the next kind of 12 months. So that's going to be the plan. If there's anything else you want to throw at me during that time, feel free. So, no. So let's talk about end of year revenue, right? Really first. End of year revenue, if you really want to drive business, you got to activate your network. You can't do it with cold calls. You can't do it with cold email lists. You can't do anything cold. It's got to be warm. It's got to be people you already know. One of the big things that we get a lot of is, I don't have a network. James, I'm new. I don't really. Yeah, listen, let me tell you, everyone has a network. You just have to understand what a network is. It's not always about people you interact with in business. It could be friends. It could be family. Not that we want to sell to friends and family, but sometimes friends and family have people who are in business that we just haven't connected with yet. So I would tell you that we all have a network. So to make this happen, guys, there's three things you want to look at. You want to look at activating this network. You want to think about champions. And the champions are going to be people who like you, love you, talk about you, promote you to other people, right? But want to make sure that we understand who those people are. Then we're going to do some outreach. You can't do this if you're not going to outreach. If you're not going to reach out, you can't just do it sitting at your home, sitting behind the desk. You got to do some work, right? So we just call this activating your network. Now, we do a webinar every year around the end of October. It's called Clients Before Christmas. That's the webinar. It is the best webinar that we probably do in terms of people coming in. And it's also a high converting event for us for getting new clients, right? But this is part of what we teach during that time. By the way, if I'm speaking too fast, just tell me to slow down, because once I get going, I go. So let's talk about your audience in this network. So ideally, we've got these three. We've got past clients, we've got warm prospects, and we have champions. As I said, the champions are people who love you, know you, and are willing to promote you to other people. And generally, usually, their network consists of your ideal client, right? So they probably have clients of their own who are clients that you would love to have. So you don't compete with them, right? But they could become very good referral partners. But those are the people that really like you. Warm prospects, again, people that you've probably had some interaction with. They know you. They're not cold. They understand what you're about. And then your past clients, right? So we know what a past client is. So what's a really good strategy for activating these groups of people to help you generate revenue towards the end of the year? Well, there's a lot of things we can do. Send emails for sure, right? That's usually a biggie. Problem is that once we get into this time of the year, and you guys will know you get really busy. There's just a lot of distractions that's going on. So one of the strategies that we do every year at this time is we shoot videos, right? We shoot videos. So one of the things that we've recognized is, if we really want to cut through all the noise that people have with the emails and everything else that's going on, if I were to text Jen a quick video, I'm going to say there's an 80% plus chance that A, she's going to see it, and B, that she's probably going to open that, right? Because she knows me. It's James. Hey, what's James got? What's he talking about? So we did this, right? We did this as an exercise, and this is what kind of it looked like, right? I sent a quick message. This was last October, and it was this: hey, I know there's a lot going on right now. I just want to drop in, let you know that we just finished a great planning workshop where we showed our clients a brand new planner, and they loved it. I think you might find it helpful as you get ready for the new year. If you want me to send it to you, just ping me back and let me know. Have a great day. That was it. It was the video. It was 30 seconds. It was 30 seconds. This is my outreach. This is what I would say. I would say to you, but think of something that you could create a video for, where you might have an idea or an offer or something, right, that you could send to someone that would get them to answer back, hey, this sounds awesome. Can we have a conversation? Here's what happened, because I like to be transparent. I did 33 individual videos. Each one was to the individual. So it'd be, hey, Jane, hey, John, hey, Amy. I didn't just do a blanket thing. 20 responded, 12 calls were set up, and we did 42,000 in revenue before the end of the year from a 30-second video. You have to think outside the box a little bit in this. Now, granted, this only works, truly works, if you have their cell phone number. That's why we see past clients, you've normally got that. Champions, you've generally got that. Warm prospects, you might have that. If it's cold traffic, you're not going to have cell phone numbers. So you got to work within your community and the people that you know, within your ideal client base. Like, who are the people that we really want to kind of talk to? So I'm going to say, if you've got the gumption to do this, this is me in Florida. We were in Florida when I did this at Angela's Cousins. I just sat in a chair and I went, boom, boom. And I did one after the other. I just sent them out. One after the other. So it does work, right? It works really, really well. And it will get you conversations. And this is probably the biggest thing in all of this. I know we're talking about conversion, but you got to stay focused on conversations, right? We just want to have a because if you can't have the conversation, you can't do the conversion, right? So don't get attached to, am I going to convert? The goal here is create as much conversations as you possibly can. And this is a really fast, really quick, really cool way. And by the way, people love it. They'll love getting an individual video with their name, right, on it. Took me an hour totally to do the whole thing. So try it, right? Just have a go. Don't send 33, send 10. See what happens. So if you want to drive revenue at the end of the year, I'm saying that's a great strategy. Just go try it. See what happens. And I would love to hear back from anyone who's done it as to what that result was. So let's kind of move on. I want to focus on business foundational stuff, right? Because as you drive your business and start thinking into 2025, you need to understand how the business works. Now, I'm not talking about how you go and get leads or how you do conversions. I'm talking about how business actually operates, like from a number standpoint. So there's this thing called the profit formula. And I don't know how many people in this room have actually seen this. And if you haven't seen it, it's a real shame because I think it's a great tool. It's not something I think Brad Sugars came up with this idea at Action Coach. But it's really cool and it works really, really well. And we've used it for easily the last 12 or 14 years. But it's got math, which is probably why people stay away from it, right? Because it's a math thing. Rutenberg will probably like this. So understand that there's like 5 areas of your business that actually drive your business. It's how many leads you get, how many of those leads you convert to clients, how many transactions do with every client, what your price point is, and what your margin is. That's it. 5 things. So there's really only 5 things that you really need to focus on in your business. So to give an example of how this works, and by the way, feel free to take these screenshots because I'm going to tell you what you want to do is to build a spreadsheet around this and actually start plugging in your own numbers. So let's assume you get 200 leads and you convert 20% of those. That's 40 clients. Easy math. 1 transaction a year, right? And the price point of that transaction is $2,000. That's 80,000 in revenue. Your net margin is 60% because you're a consultant or a coach or a professional services. So we don't have a lot of like cost of goods that we have to build in. It's generally just an expense, right? So my profit is going to be $48,000. That's it. Very, very simple math. If you didn't change anything, except focused on how many leads and conversions you were getting, and you only grew those by 10%, your profit goes from $48,000 to $57,000. Just on those 2 things. We did nothing else. Now, generally, when we work with a client, we work on all 5. But for the purpose of this, I just want you to focus on the top 2. Right? And assuming that everything else takes care of itself. If you grew those 2 things by 30%, so your conversions go, say, from 20% to 26, and your leads go from 200 to 260, your profit goes from $48,000 to $81,000. It's a 68% growth in your business. The math just works. People have argued with this for like years and years. The math just works. Here's the crux of this, guys. You have to know your numbers. You got to track this, right? So when we started tracking and we started doing this, up until about 4 years ago, our conversion rate was around 30 to 35%. My conversion rate today is around 70%. But I'm not talking to 100 people a month, right? I'm talking to 10 or 12 or 15 a month. Because those 10 or 12 or 15 are my absolute ideal clients. And they're already an 8, 9, or a 10 when they come to the conversation. And that's what's important when you start thinking about conversions, right? Is where are they in that spectrum of being ready, so that when we have that conversation, they're already predisposed to take an action. Does that make sense? So I would say to you that when you start to look at this, and again, the numbers on this table are completely irrelevant. It's the methodology, the thought process, and the math behind it that you need to focus on. Because all of your numbers are going to be different. Amy Hughes, her numbers are going to be completely different to this. Right? Jen's will be different, John's will be different, whatever. But it is important to understand that if you just keep yourself focused on the lead and conversion part of your business in the beginning, assuming that your costs isn't out of control, your business can blow up. It can absolutely blow up, right? So with that in mind, just for fun, really quick exercise, if we can do this, Jen. What's right now, I would like you to come up with, what is your top 1 to 3 lead generation and lead conversion strategies? So what are you doing to generate a lead? What are you doing to convert that lead into a client? And what's your top 1 or 3? 1, 2, or 3?
Do you want us to go into breakout, or do you want people to raise their hand and share one?
I think we just do a share. I think we can just do a share, Jen,
Perfect.
if that's okay.
Absolutely. If anybody would like to share, go ahead and raise your hand.
I'll start just to get it off.
Yeah, I'd just like to say we're looking for lead generation for our life insurance agency.
Yep. Thank you, Mike. We're actually watching that in chat. So right now the question James is looking for is, what are your top 1, 2, or 3 lead generation and conversion strategies? So if you want to share that, so we all have context, that's helpful. If you can, put your information in chat so someone can email you afterwards.
Right.
Amy Hughes, do you want to go first? And then John Foster, I'm going to hand this moderating over to you.
Yes, thank you, Jen.
I can go. James, thank you. And this is a good reminder for me, because a lot of days it's really easy to get in my own way. But I think the point you made earlier about champions, that is probably my number 1. And I don't look for my champions among friends and family, perhaps as much as I should. But I do look to it for colleagues. We've talked about this before. Collaboration over competition is always my hashtag. So the conversion, to your point that the numbers may not be actuals for me, this strategy is actual, and it does work.
Right. Right.
Plan the work the plan.
Right. Yeah. And stay focused on the number.
All right, thank you, Amy. How about John Rutenberg?
Thank you, James. Loved it. Got some great ideas. Appreciate you stepping forward. I know that Jen put in the chat, we did have a presenter today, and we'll reschedule him hopefully for next week, but he lives in Tampa, and of course they were devastated by the recent storms. So to answer your question, lead gen, number one lead gen is I talk to my regular clients and I ask them to introduce me to other colleagues they know who might have similar needs to them. And as it relates to conversion, since most of you know, we supply contact management software and some marketing strategies, outreach around them. If I can't get a prospect to a demo, they don't have that level of commitment, I bounce them out of the sales funnel, so to speak.
Right.
You have to, I have milestones that test the integrity, if you will, of the prospect as they move towards conversion through conversations. I love that comment, by the way, because it's
Yeah.
through conversations. Thank you, man.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks, John.
Alex, good to see you.
Good to see you all. Good morning. I primarily use LinkedIn strategy focused on making new connections. And I have a 4-message process that I use with my new connections to vet them for the kind of client I'm looking for. And then the ultimate goal is to schedule a one-on-one phone call, which is only about 10 to 15 minutes long. And really the goal is to make sure that they are the right prospect or lead. And
Right.
that's my primary outreach program.
So we do that as we call that a triage call, right? We want to triage people that are coming through the pipeline, 15 minutes. And it really is a go, no go situation. And I'll talk to anybody for 15 minutes. So cool.
All right, I just want to make one quick comment, and James, will go back to you. Two things that came out of this for me is one is that just having a framework. I mean, because I know from a Green Fair standpoint, I don't think we do a good job as far as actually tracking numbers. So there's one thing which, without the numbers, how do you know what your conversion is? The other thing is that from a lead standpoint, I know our number one is really the farmers market that we do every Saturday. And that's where I think a majority of our leads come from. And that is to get people into the restaurant, because once they get into the restaurant, they understand what our mission and goals are. So
Right.
Appreciate it, James.
All right. So I don't want to make people think that all I do is track numbers up the wazoo. I really don't. I track 4 or 5 numbers in the business, and that's it. That's all I do. And those numbers tell me a lot about where the business is and where the business is going. And the generation piece and the conversion piece are like the two biggies. So talking about lead gen and lead conversion, let's jump into like, what does this really look like? And there's really, I'm going to say there's 3 big things. If you really want to ramp up your generation, if you really want to ramp up the conversion part of your business, I would say that these are probably the 3 biggest things that you want to focus on. And if you did this over 2025, I just know for a fact your business would blow up in a good way, like in a good way. So there's 3 ways that we look at this, 3 parts to this. We have an ideal client, we have a unique message, and we have an irresistible offer. That's it. It's not rocket science, right? It's not complicated. How you actually manage that or develop these within your business might be slightly different to everybody else. But I will tell you that, and again, Jen and John, because I'm always beating on this about the whole ideal client thing. If you don't know who your ideal client is and you aren't messaging them in a way that resonates, that's why your generation and conversion numbers are low. Primarily, that's what's going to happen. Because they don't know you're for them. They have no idea. So I'm going to tell you that one is getting really clear on the who. Who is it that I really want to bring in? Who is it that is going to be the person that I want to work with that's going to be fun and energy and whatever it is for you? But everyone has an ideal client. And you need to know what that person really looks like. The second part of that is they've got to be easy to find. If your ideal client is so obscure right? That you don't even know where they are. That doesn't work. That's way too much effort, way too much energy, and it's going to be a slow burn for everybody. So we use this graphic, right? So we use this canvas. Feel free to snapshot this if you want. But basically, when we work through an ideal client, and sometimes for ourselves, we'll revisit who we think our ideal client is, because sometimes it moves. Sometimes it shifts as your business evolves. But this is what we use to kind of figure out who's it we really want to work with. Who do we want to bring into the business? Right? And it takes a little bit of time, and sometimes you got to sit down 2 or 3 times to get it done. But I will tell you that your ideal client is the single most important thing that you can do in your business. Jen, you have a question?
I was just curious, and I love making client personas, so I'm so glad you're sharing this. When you're doing ideal client research, are there research sources you utilize, or is this more descriptive that you go through and say, this is what we believe they look like? How does that work for you?
It's more descriptive, for sure. Right? I mean, there's certainly going to be some demographic stuff in there in terms of the size and shape and whatever of the company. But it really comes down to, like, who do I really want to work with? And I want to start there. Because if I can figure out who I want to work with, then I can maybe do some of that research. But the who I want to work with helps me understand psychologically what those people might be going through. And listen, let me tell you, just off the bat, usually your ideal client is you. Usually your ideal client is you. So if you can look at yourself, right, and go, well, what is it that I like? What is it that I have fears of? What are my frustrations? Like, generally, your ideal client is going to have the same stuff. That was our finding. Is that true 100% of the time? No. But I always find it's a good place to start.
Melinda. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. Go ahead, James. Melinda.
What I was going to ask is, I spent a lot of years in promotions, which was a lot of what you're defining, because when you're doing something like this, I would lay it out for the year at the same time and have a different one each month based on these ideal clients that you can have a special offer each month or
Right.
each quarter or whatever it might be, and put into a promotion plan as I, look back and how I used to take a lot of this. This is wonderful, by the way, James, absolutely wonderful. But is it kind of like creating a promotion for that time of the year, or taking it and then running with that concept of what you're doing and integrating it into your final year?
It depends. And it depends on this. So I want to differentiate ideal client from working in a niche. So we have several niches that we work in, and every one of those niches has an ideal client profile, right? So your ideal client, I believe, stays the same. But you might want to work in a couple of different niches, but that ideal client has to fit into each of those niches. So I'm looking for that person in these niches. So for you, Melinda, as you start to plan out 12 months of promotion, whatever it is, if each of those promotions is hitting a different niche, right, what we're looking for is, does that ideal client sit in that niche? And if so, do they look the same as what my ideal client is? Like, are they there? Because if they're not, I shouldn't be in that niche. Like, it's probably not a place I want to go play. Right? So screenshot that, and we'll talk a little bit more. I'll give you a way to actually work through this later on. Right. So here's the biggie. If you take nothing away from this except this, then it's worth it. If you can articulate your prospect's problem better than they can, they will automatically, subconsciously attribute you with having the answer. Period. All right. Which is why we want to know how our ideal client feels emotionally. Like, what are they going through emotionally? Really, really important. And I don't care what business you're in, this works. It works for every business. So ideal client is one. So you've got that at the top circle. Your unique messaging. Like, so what does that look like? You have to understand what is the real problem you're solving. Let me put it another way. No one cares about you, your product, or your service. Nobody cares. They only care when they can create a connection between the problem they have and the solution that you're providing. Up until that point, they don't care. So it's really important for you to really understand and get away from your service or your product and start thinking, well, what am I really solving for someone? And how is that affecting them emotionally right now? That's what you want to get to, because that becomes everything in your messaging. Right? We don't care about your product. I don't care about your service. Nobody cares about having a coach. They care about, I'm frustrated, I'm anxious, I've got all these things going on in my life. My marriage is breaking down because we're financially screwed, and I want to have a business that's successful. How can I make that happen? That's what they care about. All right? So we want to identify and connect. Right? We want to identify. By the way, you'll notice the complete lack of bullet points on any of these slides. Right? All right? We want to identify and connect with these people. So the thing, again, feel free to take the screenshot, right? We use a thing called the 4 forces, which is frustrations, wants, fears, and aspirations. Everybody has them. Everybody has them. The deeper you can dive into what your prospect or ideal client is going through emotionally, right, the easier it's going to be for you to actually go out there and market. So for us, for our ideal client, their frustrations might be a lack of leads, inconsistent income, marketing ineffective, no game plan, no real message, work went right. They're in this place of frustration right now. What they really want is what's on the opposite side. So if you look at this, you've got what they want to get away from and what they want to get towards, what's happening now and what they want to happen in the future. And the right-hand side is merely a positive of the left-hand side, generally, right? So you can build this for your ideal client. And the more that you can get into this, the more ammunition you're going to have when you start to message the marketplace, because you can use their language. And you want to use your prospect's language, right? We don't want to use what I would call like marketing terminal. People don't get that stuff. They understand how they feel when you say it to them. And this is how marketing works at a strategic level, right? We're really tapping into the psychology of what the prospect is going through and what they're trying to get towards. I'm going to jump through this for the sake of time, Jen, if that's okay. So we've got ideal client, and then you've got your messaging. So we're going to dive into the psyche, what they're going on, what they're going through, what are they dealing with on a day-to-day basis, right? How do we message that? The third piece of this is you got to make offers, lots of them, right? Because we want to get people engaged. We have to start pulling them into our ecosystem. Too many people are just putting out content, throwing stuff right out there, but they're really not engaging. They're not asking for anything back. I make a ton of offers, a ton. Now, there's two things that I'm trying to do. One, I make offers to build my list, which, by the way, if you're not building your list, bad on you, right? You got to start building your email list and get all these people into your system. The second reason is I want them to actually engage with me, which is, hey, I've got a thing. Would you like it? It's not difficult. So part of this and part of what we want to do, because one of the big questions is I don't know where to find my people. Like, I don't know where to find them. I don't know who they are. Okay, that's fine. So put something out there that you know that those people would want, and look and see who comes and gets it. Right? We want them to self-identify. And that's all we do all the time, is we put stuff out so people can self-identify. Hey, I've got a thing that solves this problem. Who wants it? Oh, I'd like that, James. We call it the hand raise strategy. right? And honestly, it's just one of those things that's so simple. You've got to have some assets that you can give away. That's key, right? We can talk a little bit about that. But for you to get the conversation going, to offer something out to the marketplace that you know your ideal client would want because it solves a problem that you've identified that your ideal client is going through, and you're talking in their language, and you offer them a solution to something, not the whole thing, but a piece, they'll go, hey, I love this. Like, can I get it? So you can construct a really simple email. And this is just a little framework, right? This email, there's a little framework that you can use to put to your email list to get people to raise their hand, to go, hey, I love this. I do this every week on a 4-week cycle. We have 4 assets that every month we promote to our list. They're all different things, but they're all frameworks to help people solve a problem. And then when someone goes, hey, I want that, I'm like, hey, that's great. Would you like to sit for 10 minutes? And I'll walk through it. We now have a conversation. So I guess what I'm trying to say in all of this, guys, is don't overcomplicate all this stuff. Sometimes the simplest stuff is just the most effective. And I love LinkedIn as a platform. I would say if you're going to go into LinkedIn, put something on LinkedIn. Hey, I've got this thing for people who have got this problem. Would you like it? And see who grabs it. Hit me back in the comments. So I think we spend a little bit too much time trying to just wait for people to come to us versus kind of forcing the issue and giving our ideal client something of value that they can go, hey, that sounds really great, James. Can I get that? Yeah. Let's have a conversation around it as well. Making sense? So I would say to you that as an exercise, sit down and go, what are 3 to 5 things, assets, things that I have in my business that I could give away to my ideal client if I just offered it out into the marketplace so they could identify who they are if I don't know who they are. By the way, just if you've not done it already, I know that Jen's really big on all these different, like the AI platforms and stuff, and I love this stuff, and I would not shy away from it just because it's AI. There's a platform called Designer R. It's Design RR. It's $27 lifetime. You could build an ebook in 10 minutes. Use a thing called Word Genie. It would actually build you the complete asset in 10 minutes. So you don't have to go out trying to force this stuff or try to come up with ideas, right? We have technology. Now you can put your own spin on it for sure and edit it and do whatever you want. But sometimes what stops us getting this done is thinking we're starting from scratch. All I'm saying is if you've got a niche, not an itch, a niche, I should say, right? If you've got a niche who has a problem and you want to give them something of value, use something like a platform to design something for you that you can give away. Here's a little unknown secret. Very, very, very few people are going to read the stuff you put out. They're not going to open up your ebook and read it, right? I don't care. It's not the point. You've identified that's a problem that you have, and therefore we can now have a conversation. Or at least I can hit you with something else until we get to that conversation. So don't overcomplicate it. Ideal client, messaging that relates to the ideal client, create offers that ideal client would want to help solve part of a bigger problem. Get into the marketplace as often as you possibly can. Weaponize your assets. You'll generate significantly more leads that are more in line with the people you want to work with. And because you've created value up front, you'll actually end up converting more of those leads into clients over time. Not complicated at all. At all.
James, I got to tell you, I don't even want to stop.
Then we can keep going, John. I got lots more. I'm just kidding.
Go ahead, John. Tell him that I said we need to wrap up.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
No,
We
we're
do
done.
need
I'm
to.
done. I'm done. That's it.
And
I'm done.
James, I can't even begin to thank you. Awesome presentation, and I look forward to part two.
If I can, Jen, if it's okay, look, so this is fine, but if you want to dig deeper and you want to get some real some stuff around this, if you go to our website, there's actually a quiz you can take around ideal client messaging and offers and everything else. And it will actually send you a training on the thing that you want to accomplish in the next 90 days. Let's say you want to build an offer, right? There's a training it will send you around that so you can actually go work on the framework and actually do your offer yourself. It's very cool, right? But you can go to the, if you don't mind, if you go to the website, it's actually, or take a quiz. It's like 3 minutes, swear to God. But you know, I'll give you as much training as you need to get at least started around some of this stuff. So there you
James,
go.
we did
Great.
have people ask about your event Friday. I don't know if you have a link that you can drop in chat. Or is your Friday event sold out?
That's sold.
No, I listen, if it's 1MC people, I will always find a couple of seats for sure. For sure.
Because I tried the link in the slides, but I think it's not
Let me-
working. So if you have a new
alright.
one.
Let me do this.
So should we run through the balance of
Yeah.
our slides at this point
Yeah, go.
while James does
Yeah.
that? And a round of applause for Mr. James Lawson, everyone. Thank you again.
Awesome.
He stepped forward Monday to do this on Wednesday, and while he could do it in his sleep, we really appreciate that you took the time to concentrate and devote to us. So I'm both empathetic and sympathetic that you probably didn't do something else you were responsible for, and I hope Angela yells at you about it.
Yeah, I was getting some comments around it.
No problemski.
All right, link is in the chat, guys. If you want a seat, go check it out. Email me, and I will register you for free, since you're a 1MC. All right, cool. Was that helpful, guys?
Yeah.
Huge.
Well, this is always our traditional question that, Jim, if there's one thing we could do to help you, what would that be?
I'm going to say, don't help me. Help yourself.
Oh, man, that's great.
All right. Work the stuff that I've shown you, implement it, go do it, and just cut out the noise. Just get focused.
Great
I'm not
comment.
saying that I'm all good, right? There's still stuff I would like to get done. But right now, this is more about you guys getting this stuff in your business and making it work.
Super. Thank you, man. Next slide, please. So Dunbar, Jose Bello was scheduled to present today. Dunbar is an app that controls consumer feedback that might hit Yelp or any of the review sites, Google reviews. So it channels a customer's feedback when it's negative to the store manager and when it's positive directly to the review site. Anyway, Jose will present it. He's presented to other 1 Million Cups, and so I'm sure he'll be great. You know, we love folks to help us, and if anybody in the room would like to maybe spend an hour or so a week working on something to build our chapter, we welcome it. So please, there are many benefits and very few detriments. If you're so inclined, holler at one of the organizers and we'll be thrilled to bring you on. Next slide, please. Everyone can read for a moment. Let me highlight tomorrow's networking event at MEC. We're being promoted 1 Million Cups. So if you're in the area and you can be there, please do attend. I think everyone can read the other other events that are on the list, and as time is tight, we can probably move on. Anyone have any other event they'd like to mention? Okay. So we're looking at the presenter schedule. And again, the 23rd, we hope will be Dunbar. The 30th is open, and as you can see, we have room for presenters. We do have a few, and one brand new presenter that's made the list that will be hopefully filling in our spots. But if you'd like to present, or if you know someone for whom this would be relevant, we'd love to talk to you. Next slide, please. So one of the ways we grow is if each of us takes a moment and promotes us to your own networks. And if you click on the QR code, you'll have all of our social media links at your disposal. So with a few minutes to spare, please stick around. And again, kudos and genuine thanks to James for stepping forward. It was great. I took notes. Other than my self-conscious nature about videos, that was phenomenal.